Hello everybody, I am Fuzzy Face. Welcome back to another round of this Motorsport Manager career. We've got the Milan Grand Prix. We're heading to Italy for round 10 of the season. We're back with our Audi career, our Audi team. We're doing remarkably well this season. Vettel is still in with a chance of winning the Drivers' Championship. We had cooled off recently. We're still there or thereabouts. We're second in the Constructors, a little bit behind Ferrari. If we look at the last race, we lost out totally on the last race. I think it was the first lap or the second lap. Vettel, Gasly both had collisions, as did most cars over the first few laps around this chicane here. Just in the rain, no one could handle it. Everyone was colliding with each other. Absolute carnage in the Belgian race. Nothing we could do about that. We had a disappointing finish. They actually qualified further down the order as well, 16th and 17th, because in Q1 they both locked up on that same corner as well during qualifying. Just totally wrecked their qualifying. They didn't get through to Q2. We are looking better for this race, but we'll get into that in a minute. We're going to head over to some of the biggest news that we're going to have this season. Red Bull have done what they usually do. Yuri Vips has moved up from AlphaTauri. And if we go to AlphaTauri, Alexander Albon has moved down. Albon has been having a dreadful this season. No podiums this season. And there's only 3 races that he scored points in. A little bit late to pull the trigger. Maybe Red Bull would have pulled it a little bit quicker in real life, maybe, if they're having so many non-point finishes. Look, I'm at 19th, 13th, 17th. But anyway, Albon is out at Red Bull. He's gone down to AlphaTauri. Whether he can rebuild his name in the AlphaTauri car, whether he's going to move on to a new team, who knows. But anyway, we'll get into the car development screen, which means it's time to go through Fuzzy's notebook. As we move in, we've got a couple of upgrades on a lot of the cars. Mercedes, Red Bull, and ourselves. We have all built new rear wings ready for the race here at Milan. We've got a new suspension building as well that's going to be ready in time for Singapore, where the suspension is not a big deal, but it is one of the parts we need to improve. We cannot actually improve the engine until this test track is built, so we need that test track to be built so we can then get a new engine built ready for next year. Pretty much it's going to be next year's engine. I'm not going to swing and get another new engine into this car this year. But with that rear wing, you can see we've moved right to the top. We're only just a little bit behind Red Bull, which is pretty much in... I mean, we just get massive upgrades at the moment. As we've talked through before, everything has come together. A lot of the teams are so close together. When we go ahead and build a new part, we can get 70 or so points out of the first part that we build due to our designer and the improvability boost that we get. We're just so strong at that. We're going to lose a lot of these as the other cars start to catch up, and they do develop new parts for those. But it was a massive upgrade going into the rear wing, which means even though Mercedes have developed, they were probably behind us anyway. We have moved to the top. Mercedes are just behind us, and Red Bull have moved up a little bit there in 4th. We moved down. Williams has got a new suspension. I don't think that's moved them up too much, not only into 8th, whereas Aston Martin and Alfa Romeo have got new gearboxes, which means Aston Martin do jumpers now, and Alfa Romeo is only 8th, so not a massive improvement. Other than that, we've got Ferrari building a new front wing, puts them up into 4th. And who else have we got here? Haas have developed new brakes, but Haas are a little bit behind. Only puts them up to 7th. Haas is not a really good chassis on that Haas car. They're a long way behind in terms of everything else. They do have the strong Renault engine, but it is starting to drop down a little bit now. As we've seen, Renault have dropped to 6th. They have gone from having the best car to now having a car that is ranked 6th overall. Even with the best car, they were struggling. So what they're going to do with a car that is ranked 6th overall, we don't know. Ferrari and Mercedes are starting to climb back up. We've moved into 2nd. Red Bull's still strong here. Milan is a engine-heavy track with brakes and rear wing crucial as well. I mean, we have the best brakes, we have the best rear wing. We have a mediocre engine though, so maybe the engine is going to let us down, whereas Red Bull have a decent engine, well, the best engine. They also have a decent braking system. It is 5th overall, and the rear wing is up there. So it might be between us and Red Bull. We might actually be favourites for a race here, which is something we are not used to, being favourites for a race. We've got all the right parts in the car, although Gasly is still upset with the parts, even though he's equal. I mean, are we going to have to do what we did last time and just... yeah. I don't know why the game does that, but anyway, we've only got a couple of sponsors we can choose from. We're going to take a soft tyre compound, And that will mean that we do have 2 sets for each qualifying session, because I'm expecting us to get into Q3 pretty comfortably this time around. And then we're ready for the race. So we're going to skip over practice as we usually do. You're used to that by now, and we'll be back in a second to go through qualifying for the Italian Grand Prix. So practice is over. The Red Bull's looking mightily quick around this Italian track. We're pretty much there, although we're 3/10 off Fernando Alonso in practice. There was rain in practice, so we don't know whether that is an indication of where things are going to be. We usually say that, but we never know. We might be in for our best qualifying session to date. I think this track was where we had our best qualifying session last season, because we had Vettel in 3rd, Van Dorn was in 7th place overall after qualifying. Obviously there was only 1 round of qualifying last season. We do have 3 stages this year. But last year, pole position went to Charles Leclerc with Ferrari, 2nd was Fernando Alonso, so Red Bull was strong here last year. We're going to get Gasly out of the pits first. We might have to do 2 runs in Q1. Maybe we're quick enough that we only have to do 1 run. We've never actually been that quick that we've felt comfortable just sitting back and waiting to see what everyone else did on their 2nd run. Juri Vips currently has the quickest lap. Alonso is going a lot quicker than him, though, it seems almost 3/10 quicker. So Juri Vips in his first race in a Red Bull is way up there, doing what Alexander Albon couldn't do this season in that Red Bull. Meanwhile, Gasly splits the Red Bulls. Is Vettel going quicker? Vettel is a little bit more off the pace than them. Vettel will come across the line into 6th place. So Gasly 2/10 up on his teammate after the first run. We've got Mercedes looking pretty strong here. Where are the 2 Ferraris? Where is Charles Leclerc? 11th. And I'm just totally missing Hamilton. Where is Hamilton? All the way down in 21st. So Ferrari not looking strong in their home race here. I'm thinking Gasly's comfortable enough, but we've got the tyres for it. We might as well just see how quick we can actually go on a 2nd run. We're getting the track grip pretty up there as well over the first qualifying session, it's rising pretty quickly over the first qualifying session. So there's a lot more track grip over the first run, so we might be able to go a little bit quicker. So although there's still a lot of cars in the pits, it's pretty needless doing this. Gasly is slower on this lap though, but Vettel is going to improve up into 3rd place ahead of Juri Vips, whereas Gasly moves down. Vips does end up going quicker, getting close to his teammate on the 2nd run, although I don't think Alonso came out of the pits at all there. Alonso pretty comfortable with his first run. Do we have any big scalps going out here? No, we've got the Aston Martins, which are still a pretty decent car going out. We've got a Haas going out. We've got the 2 Premas at the back of the grid. We've got the AlphaTauris in their home race. Tsunoda is out. What did Albon do in the AlphaTauri is a question. He's out as well in 20th place. And the AlphaTauri is not good, but Vips has had, the reason why he sort of moved up during this season, he has had 2 qualifying sessions already in an AlphaTauri where he finished 2nd on the grid. He was on the front row of the grid, which is amazing, which has pretty much triggered his move to Red Bull over Alexander Albon. But we're going to get into Q2 now. We might run a little... No, we won't. This car's already coming out of the pits. We're right at the end of the pit lane. Sometimes we're at the front. It depends which way around the garage is. We're sometimes at the front, but right at the end here in Italy. It's a little bit hard trying to figure out a time to come out where we're not in a massive group of cars, but we just got a steady cam here. We might as well just sit here and watch cars come out of the pits. It's a nice camera angle for a change before it forces us to swap back to Sebastian Vettel, who is on the outlap at the moment. Juri Vips is quickest over the first sector, although Alonso hasn't set a time yet. I'm guessing Alonso and Leclerc has suddenly picked up the pace as well. It looks like Leclerc's going to get ahead of Vips during this qualifying session. Alonso is quickest over the first sector. Gasly is starting his. He's a tiny little bit off. He's not very far off the first sector of Alonso, although second sector is a lot slower. Vettel's slower over the first sector, quicker over the second than his teammate. Gasly is only 5th at the moment. Vettel improves, so it's a 2 Red Bulls sitting 1-2 here. Red Bull's looking mightily strong during qualifying session here. We're not looking too bad ourselves. We know this is a strong track for us last season. This is the track where we could have had a 1-2. Vettel won the race. Van Dorn was in 2nd until my mistake. I sort of messed up with his fuel. I forgot to turn him down when I should have done. He ended up on the last lap finishing 4th overall. Could have had a 1-2 here. We're going to get Gasly out again. We might as well get out We might as well have some action on track. And there's only 2 tenths down to actually being eliminated here, so we maybe do need to speed up because the track grip is all the way in now at the moment. And we've got a Renault down here. Alfa Romeos who were, and Vettel just sets perfect on his temperatures there. Alfa Romeo did improve a lot, but they have cooled off recently. Gasly doesn't improve, but Vettel does improve into second place. But anyway, as I was saying, Alfa Romeo did have a massive improvement a few races ago. Schumacher did win a race. They have cooled off slightly with their development. Their jumps are not as big as they were. They have started to fall back down the order, but Alonso quickest. Once again here we get Sergio Perez out in a Renault, Sainz is out in a McLaren, Ferrari. Lewis Hamilton's out and both Alphas are out now. They've sort of lost their performance boost, obviously. Probably not as suited to this track as the track where Schumacher and Bottas had that really good result. I can't quite remember which race it was. And we're going to try and get out. We're going to try and get out ahead of the field here with Gasly. Is anyone going to jump us through the pits? No, they're not. So Gasly is out in clear air because the track grip is pretty much there. It's going to come in over the course of this lap as everyone is out. So and we'll get Vettel out as well because why not? Let's get him out. There's not many cars about. Everyone is staying in the pits. Alonso and Vips are out on track. A 120.8 was the quickest lap in the last session. What can we get out of this? Gasly obviously sets the quickest first sector of qualifying, and Vips is almost 2 tenths up of it on him on the first sector. Vips going quickest through the second. Alonso though is beating his time pretty handedly here. Yep, Alonso's a long way in front. Gasly is coming across, so Alonso will come across the line into pole position. Did he get it? Don't actually tell me. Then we're going to have to look up here. 127 ahead of his teammate Vettel. 5 tenths down through the first 2 sectors. Vettel a lot further back, but it is still good enough for third. We do have the 2 Mercedes out on track at the moment, and where we are a lot further back than I would like us to be here. 5th and 8th is not great off that first run. 6 tenths down on one of the Red Bulls of Alonso. Ricciardo's up there. He's coming out onto a fresh soft. We've got Magnussen coming out for his second lap. Should we get Gasly out? He's the one that needs to improve the most. Whilst we've got a clear track, try and get him out on track. Give Gasly a run because the grip is there. There's no real such thing as having a tow or being slowed down here really. It's just if you get into a battle whilst you're on your hot lap is the big problem. But anyway, hopefully we can see some improvement out of Gasly. Hopefully we can get some improvement out of Vettel as well. We're going to jump with the other cars here as Gasly comes through to set his flying lap, his final flying lap. He's 3 tenths down on the first sector though. He is improving and he's slower in the second sector, so Gasly is going to be out of here. Gasly comes across the line, doesn't improve. He might get jumped on the grid by Charles Leclerc here. Vettel, we need to go quicker. Vettel is not that far down after the first sector. Obviously, we're not going to be too high, but if we can get into third on the grid, that would be perfect. We do. Leclerc does indeed jump Gasly as well, so we will be starting from 3rd and 9th on the grid. I mean, that is worse than last season. We've got a car more suited to this track this season. We've got a lot better car overall, but last season we finished 3rd and 7th here during qualifying. I mean, obviously the other cars are pretty quick around here, and it's possibly just our engine letting us down around this track because there's not many corners in this track. We do have a couple of slow chicanes, but the rest of the circuit is just super high speed. And we're going to go with soft and race trim. There's obviously no worries around tyre wear here. There's going to be no worries with the tyre wear. As you can see, the tyres are unlocked, which is one of the changes I made just to make sure the AI was a lot more comfortable with what they were doing. They're not going to make rash decisions, push too much. They do have the freedom to just totally go for it. So we are unlocked. It's going to be an easy one-stop race because these softs can do 15 laps of a 23-lap Grand Prix, which does mean, I'm guessing, some of the front order cars, they're going to go soft. Obviously, if you've watched this series, I don't hold myself to higher standards than the AI. I do have to use 2 tyre compounds during the weekend. Fernando Alonso is starting on a medium. So he's going to go medium soft, which is not too bad. Vips might get the jump on him here. So it's between the 2 Red Bulls who are 1-2 on the grid. But anyway, we'll go down the grid. We'll see what the other top runners are here. Russell is back up here after a few disappointing qualifying sessions. But anyway, it's the 2 Red Bulls on the front row of the grid. Then we've got Vettel 3rd. Russell will start on the softs from 4th, Ricciardo 5th, Lando Norris on the mediums from 6th place, Leclerc is 7th, Verstappen is 8th in a Mercedes, and we have Pierre Gasly starting on the soft. Kevin Magnussen will be on a fresh pair of mediums as well from 10th place, and we've got Carlos Sainz 11th, Perez 12th in a Haas, Hamilton. How is he injured? Does he have a dodgy neck? Yes, he does. He will be starting on the medium. Schumacher on the hards in an Alfa Romeo. Bottas 15th in an Alfa Newgarden, 16th in the Haas. Ocon is 17th, Stroll 18th, Hulkenberg in a Williams is 19th, Alexander Albon 20th in his first race back in that Alpha Tauri. The former Toro Rossos, Latifi 21st, Tsunoda 22nd, and then we've got the two Premers bringing up the rear of the grid, Giovinazzi and Schwartzman. So I'm hoping we get a decent launch off the line here. We might as well go all out here over the first lap. And we do get a pretty decent launch with Vettel as Vips is slow to get away. He gets jumped by Daniel Ricciardo as well. Ricciardo has an excellent start, gets the inside line on everyone else, manages to get the jump on Fernando Alonso. Gasly's got off the line pretty decently, hasn't lost any places. Vips has fallen all the way back to 9th place here from the start of the race. Vettel is currently 2nd. We've got the jump on Alonso as well. These Red Bulls over this first lap, an absolutely dreadful start for the Red Bull, so it's just about whether we can get past the Renault. We know we're a lot quicker than that Renault now, so we get the jump on Daniel Ricciardo. George Russell is currently following behind, so whilst we've now got the jump, we don't want to waste too much fuel, and it is just about moving Gasly up through the field now. We seem to have mega race pace here as we get past Verstappen on track. Obviously we're pushing all out. Is the AI doing that as well? Some of them are. And that is like Charles Leclerc in front of her. We just have so much pace around here. That rear wing really coming to effect here, and we're able to brake late into the chicanes as well with the really good brake system that we have. So Gasly is already up into 3rd. Vettel is under pressure from George Russell. Russell is pushing his fuel load a little bit at the moment, so maybe we should go attack mode. I mean, tyre wear is not an issue here. We can get off and onto the mediums at any point and probably be able to finish this race pretty soon. 18 laps. We should be able to get 16 to 18 laps out of them, because that lap counter does seem a little bit high to what we can sometimes get out of it. But Gasly is right on the back of George Russell here, and it looks like we're going to get the run on George Russell. We'll switch down here. We'll try hold George Russell up a bit and let Vettel just fire off into the distance, because what is the main aim now, since we're running 1-2? Somehow we're super quick around this track. And I think it was a bad decision for Alonso to be going on to the mediums, but he's starting to make his way back up through the order after dropping all the way down the order. I mean, that is not a good start for Red Bull, is it? They were on the front row of the grid, and over the first 4 laps of the race, they've dropped down to 7th and 9th overall. Ricciardo is up there. We've got the Ferraris up there as well, which is what we want to see. We don't want the Ferraris to lose pace here and lose ground to us, because we do still want it to be competitive come the end of the season. We're just going to cool down with Vettel a little bit as well, because he's getting a little bit too overheated. Is Russell still pushing here? Russell's still pushing the fuel over certain parts of the track, but we're going to have to go into conserve mode now with Gasly, because he's used a lot of fuel pretty much over those first 5 laps from pushing all out. So it's whether we can hold this, because we are going to be slower after the first pit stop. Because after that first pit stop, Russell is going to possibly stay on soft tyres. I don't see why the AI would switch to a medium. You never know, they might do. But as it is, they're pretty quick, isn't it? That Mercedes has found pace recently. Verstappen hasn't had the best of starts. He's up into, I think he started lower than 8th, did he? Can't remember where Verstappen was on the grid, but he's on a medium tyre. And we're just, it is a short pit lane here, and with the increased speed through the pits, we would at the moment come out in 9th. We would be battling Lewis Hamilton, so a pit stop is pretty short, maybe about 12 seconds for a pit stop overall is the time we need to be in. So we want to open up some gap here, don't we, and try and get in and find a little gap if we can do to get in and out of the pits. So we might push with Gasly, because he's coming under a little bit of pressure from George Russell, who's within a second of him. Vettel is 5 seconds away from the Mercedes, just over 4 seconds away from his teammate. So we're going to push here. We're going to try and get a gap. There is a gap here now from Verstappen to Vips. We want the gap over Alonso is what we want. The gap over Alonso is the main thing, because these cars should be pitting around the same time we are. So if we can go ahead and get the gap over Alonso, we've got a nice gap over the cars that will be staying out a little bit longer, I would guess. Well, they might even come in early, knowing that they can switch to soft tyres. These softs can go to, because it's not the Ultra, the super soft. The Ultras are 20%, the supers are 15%, the softs can go to 10%, I believe. I have switched back to the vanilla. It might be a little bit different than that, so I do have to be careful. I'm not as confident on when the cliff condition is at the moment. Alonso is starting to speed up though, because our tyres are now at the point where they're actually they're out of their main usage. There's so many laps you do at the top speed, then there's like a bigger chunk of laps where you're at like an average speed on these tyres, and then for like the last 3 laps that you're on the tyres before they drop off the cliff, they're at their slowest. So Alonso is actually starting to find a little bit of time here. We might be able to get out in this little gap here once we do pit. That would be the main strategy here. We don't have much fuel in these cars to go with. Gasly might have to pit this lap. It looks like 15% might be the cliff condition for the soft, so Gasly is going to have to go first, and we do have some risk with the pit crew as well. Guessing we've got some tight pit crew that were all fresh for the last race. I don't know why they are tired for this race, but anyway, we're into the pits. Looks like we're going to come out in a lot more traffic here. We've actually got a pretty decent distance to us. Russell has, as I thought, come out on these soft tyres though. That is possibly good. We're going to have to do it because he's going to try undercut here, isn't he? So we're going to get into the pits this lap with Sebastian Vettel as well. We might as well push him into the pits. So Gasly is out into 9th place. Russell is a major concern here on those soft tyres. So it is all about Sebastian Vettel here, as he picked up over this lap. He's a little bit quicker this lap than his last lap, and he's going to peel into the pits. If you just check here, actually, if we look at the pit stop history, 17 seconds through the pit lane. It was a long pit stop from Vieri Vips. There was a mistake on his pit stop. So where is Vieri Vips actually on track? Vips is currently 15th, although there's a lot of cars that still need to pit. Vettel gets back out into 3rd though, which is excellent for him, because we've got a lot of traffic now between Vettel, Gasly, but especially George Russell. We did manage to get through there to the point we wanted. We wanted a little bit of a gap. Luckily, Alonso picked up some more speed. He picked up the speed. He managed to make that gap a little bit less, which meant we come out a little bit further behind him. We can still keep pushing, but we do need to start thinking about recovering the fuel, and Gasly is doing a good, well, we said he was doing a good job. We might as well get him pushing, aren't we? Because Russell is about to go past him here as we try and work our way through these cars that haven't pitted, that are on those used mediums. I'm guessing Russell is all out here as well. We're managing to hold him off at the moment down the straight. We know our engine is a little bit better than that Mercedes engine at the moment. We do need to get this move made on Carlos Sainz as quick as possible. If we can get past him on track, that is absolutely amazing. And we're closing in on Verstappen, who is in this lap. Is Carlos Sainz in this lap? Doesn't matter, because George Russell's got past him anyway. Russell is up there as Gasly sets the quickest lap of the race, a 1:24.0, and we have to look after the fuel there. We're going to have to be aggressive with the fuel recovery at some point in this race. Well, we'll just let Vettel trundle along, and we'll speed up a little bit just to see what Russell is doing. He's conserving his tyres at the moment, which we don't need to do. Gasly sets his another quickest lap of the race. He's about 7/10 quicker. He's closing in on Sebastian Vettel at the moment, because he's pushing a little bit more than Sebastian Vettel is. Maybe we should get Seb pushing. We just don't want to risk any mistakes from these cars. We know what happened last race through the chicanes here. The chicanes here at Milan don't seem to be as much of a problem as they were in Belgium. But Alonso now sets the quickest lap of the race from 5th place, trying to work his way back up to the podium positions. I don't think he's going to be quick enough to do that. It looks like Gasly is cooling off here as his tyres are in the hot zone. He's going to go from a 1:24.1. Is he going to keep going with this? Can he still stay around that time whilst his tyres are overheated? It would be a good indicator of what to do, because he's got away from George Russell here. We're just currently running a nice one too. We've got a lot of life left in these tyres. We managed to stay ahead of Russell, which was the important thing, whilst his tyres were at the freshest. I'm guessing Russell's pushed, he's just pushed so much, he's going to get to the end of the race, but those tyres looking fairly worn now. So we're just going to keep it for this lap and just see what happens when we're in the once we're overheated. We're still setting around the same times, aren't we, whilst we're overheated? So we'll just switch back to neutral now. We'll look after those tyres. We do need to make sure they can get through these last 4 laps. And we might as well recover the fuel as well, since we're so far ahead. Gasly has just pushed ahead here. We've run an absolutely brilliant race, and this is going to be the 1-2, hopefully, that we should have had last season here. Luckily, it is a Mercedes behind us, and not the Red Bulls. Vips has got himself back up into 6th place here. If those Red Bulls were behind us, I would be a little bit more worried, because that car does suit this track. As we see, Alonso doing a 1:23.3 on his last lap, a 1:24.6 from Yuri Vips. I'm guessing Alonso is going to be able to get Ricciardo here, so we might as well watch Alonso over these last few laps. He does have cars to get through, which means luckily he's not really going to get to us, although he's conserving and in low fuel mode at the moment. So would he even get Ricciardo here? Would Ricciardo be a realistic? Yes, it does look like that, but I don't think he's going to get close enough to George Russell to get back onto the podium. Although we say that there's 2 laps to go, Yuri Vips is going to get the move done on Daniel Ricciardo here as well. Yuri Vips is going to get it. That Red Bull should have the speed. That Renault car has dropped off at a point when Renault have got back to having a decent strategy here. But we are looking pretty comfortable out in front. We can now switch back to medium. The fuel is pretty much there, and we'll just see. Actually, what we'll do is we'll go low mode for the last part of this lap, and we'll just see how quick we can get Vettel to go over the final lap, because this is going to be the final lap coming up, and we should have enough to go in overtake mode for most of this lap. Enough for the tyre wear left as well. I don't think Russell's going to pit on the last lap here. His tyres are pretty much gone. Looks like Russell might be giving up the ghost, but would he be giving up the ghost to Alonso? His tyres are pretty close as well. The Red Bulls are side by side here. Vips battling away with Alonso, which is possibly going to catch him out. Vips is on the fresher tyre though, so Vips on a decent strategy. They reversed the strategy, did Red Bull. Alonso went for the mediums first, did 14 laps. And he's absolutely blasted through this pair of softs. So Vips might get the move done here. It looks like Vettel is going to set the quickest lap of the race here. Oh, we're out of fuel. We've been pushing too long. Oh, no. Oh, no. Yeah, we're still going to make it. We're still going to make it. We nearly did the same as we did last year here in Milan. It only seems to happen here at Milan. We're going to try to set the quickest lap of the race. Obviously, he doesn't get that because that last sector was atrocious. Vips does beat his teammate to the line ahead of Alonso. We've got Ricciardo up there for a change. Ricciardo actually finishes up there. We've got a Mercedes. Sainz is 8th in the McLaren. Newgarden is 9th and a half. And then we've got the Ferraris in 10th and 11th here in their home Grand Prix. Not a good race for them as well. Hamilton had a lot of tyre left there. Did he start on the hard tyre? Is that why he's got so much soft left? Why wasn't he pushing it? We know they're so aggressive on the tyres, but sometimes they seem to be conservative on the tyres. If we just... yeah, we're on tyre history here. What did Hamilton start the race on? A medium, but he managed to get 16 laps, more than anyone else out on that medium tyre. And then just did 7 laps on the soft. I mean, it did work out for him over Charles Leclerc. It went soft. Yeah, but look at that first sector, 7/10 quicker. It was going to be, the second sector, it was going to be an almighty lap, that last lap, wasn't it? If we could have shaved 4 seconds off that, we were going to be in like the low 123s on that last lap of the race. Yeah. Yeah, so 4th and 5th with a pit stop. So Renault's still looking pretty quick. Russell's pit crew seems to be a lot better than that of Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen's pit stops are always a lot slower than George Russell. I don't know whether Russell's brought some of the team over from the really quick Williamses in real life. But anyway, we do get a 1-2, which does mean Vettel is 2nd. Gasly is up into 5th. Vips is going to start moving up the order now that he's in that Red Bull. But it does mean when we come here, look at that, we've got a 16-point gap to Ferrari. We know our car is better than Ferrari. It is Red Bull who are the team that we should be battling with, but Red Bull are coming from a place lower down than we were. So Red Bull have more ground to make up in terms of points than we did. So we could be looking at a constructors win here. We've got 6 races to go, and that is sort of unimaginable from where we started the season. I mean, our development path this season has just been absolutely remarkable. Luckily, our first builds have been quite big point increases. If we built new parts, it's not as big as a jump over what we built, but the first, because we just built one part, we concentrated on the engine early going, we built 2 new engines, and then we built one of everything else, and luckily each of those first things has been a massive point improvement for us. It's just the development gods this season have fallen on our sides. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, everyone's just getting really tired because I swapped him out. 2 races have gone up to 4% tiredness. I'll just do it whilst we're here so I know that it is done, just in case I forget to do it before the next race. I think everyone else should be alright there. We have actually fallen behind Renault in terms of pit crew. There's not really much improvement we can do. There's a few guys, everyone, because we do get a 2-point bonus. I don't know whether that's because I'm an ex-driver, as in my backstory for this game. We do get a 2-point increase to the pit crew when we do sign them, but no one here is better than the guys we've got, really. We're just going to accept the interview with David Coulthard, Max Verstappen's agent. I'll just say that because it keeps everyone happy. It leaves Max Verstappen open to joining us. Maybe he wants out of Mercedes. Mercedes not too strong at the moment, although they are getting back up to speed as this season comes into the latter half of the year. We've crossed that point with 2 races past the midway point. We've got Singapore coming up next. High tyre wear. So this is going to be one of the tracks where our new rebalancing is going to be important. Whether it works or not, we don't know. Singapore is a long race, or 33 laps, so it might be a struggle to one-stop this race. Then we've got Yokohama, Phoenix, Doha, and then we finished with Munich Grand Prix, our home Grand Prix. Chance of rain. Looks pretty decent, the weather here for Singapore, so hopefully that's going to be a good race. But anyway, that is what we've got for this episode. We've got the new suspension coming next time, so hopefully that's going to be an improvement. We're going to possibly drop down with a few of these as the other cars begin to develop those parts. But they have been developing front wings and rear wings, and we have got above them. So whether they do another one of those parts and jump above us, it is yet to be seen, but we'll go through that in Fuzzy's notebook next time out. But anyway, that is it for this episode of Motorsport Manager. Hope you enjoyed. Leave a like, whatever. But until next time, I'll see you in Singapore for the next Grand Prix. But until that time, goodbye.